All right, let's get right into it. In this explainer, we are digging into the safety manual for overhead construction. And listen, these aren't just some friendly suggestions. These are the absolute life-saving rules that are designed to protect you, your crew, and your family. We're going to focus on the core principles that get you home safe every single day. This is it, the big one. If you take away only one thing, it has to be this. This is the single most important rule in our profession. You need to burn this into your brain. It comes straight from Section 7C of the manual, and it's a non-negotiable truth. Every single line, every piece of equipment, you have to treat it as live until you have personally proven it is dead. That mindset, that's your first and honestly your best line of defense out there.
So before we can even think about touching a wire, we gotta get up there, right? And your safety? It doesn't start 40 feet in the air. Nah, it starts right here, on the ground, with the very structure you're about to climb.
This is the very first question you have got to ask yourself on every single job. Section 7.E is crystal clear. You are required to inspect every single pole and structure. And you're not just checking if it can hold your weight, you're making sure it can handle all the additional or unbalanced stresses that your work is about to put on it. A pole can look perfectly fine from the outside, but be hiding a weakness that could be fatal.
So how do you know for sure? Well, the manual gives you a precise three-step inspection. First, you check the brand for its proper setting depth. Next, you do a sound test. Grab a hammer, start at the ground level, and listen. You're listening for that hollow thud that just screams internal rot. And look, the third step is the most critical. If that pole feels unsafe, the job stops. Period. That pole has to be completely secured by guying, bracing, whatever it takes before anyone goes up. No exceptions, no excuses. Okay, now let's talk about some bad habits, the things you shall never do. These rules from Section 7E are here because someone, somewhere, learned the hard way. Wearing your climbers while you walk around? It just dulls your gaffs and makes them unreliable. Strapping into a rickety crossarm? You're literally gambling with your life. And throwing tools? Come on, that endangers everyone down below. Treat every single one of these nevers like a critical safety alert. All right, let's move on to the heart of lineman safety, grounding. This is the procedure. This is how we turn a potentially lethal circuit into a safe zone of work. This is how we make that golden rule a reality.
And let me just say it again, because it's that important. This principle is absolute. Until you, personally, complete the proper procedure, that line has the juice to kill. So let's break down the exact life-saving steps you have to follow to prove without a shadow of a doubt that it's dead.
Now, the sequence laid out in Section 7.C is there for a reason. It is deliberate and it is unskippable. You can't just jump to step 4. First, you identify the correct line. Simple, right? But crucial. Then you isolate it, create a visible air gap. After that, you test it for voltage. And only after you've done those 3 things do you finally ground the line. Identify, isolate, test, and ground. Every single time. There are no shortcuts in this part of the job. The order you do things here is just as critical. You're always maintaining your path to safety, right? So when you're installing grounds, you connect to the ground or neutral first. Then you connect to the conductor. Why? Because it gives any potential charge a safe path away from you. And when you're taking them off, you just do the exact reverse. Disconnect from the conductor first, and the ground connection comes off last. And hey, don't forget your truck. Safety doesn't stop at the pole. The derrick or the aerial lift you're working from, that's just one massive conductor. If that truck somehow becomes energized, anyone touching it becomes the path to ground. That is exactly why your vehicle must be grounded anytime you're working near primary energized lines.
You know, not all grounds are created equal. Section 7.D gives us a mandatory hierarchy, a pecking order. Your best option, always, is the main line neutral. It's the path of least resistance, literally. If that's not available, you just move down the list to the next best thing. The rule is simple. Always use the best rated ground you can get to. The quality of that ground is what determines your level of protection.
So, we've covered the pole, we've covered the line, and we've covered the truck. But the single most important component in this entire safety system, well, it isn't something you'll find in a manual or a toolbox. It's you.
This quote from Section 1, it really says it all. Yeah, management has their responsibilities, but at the end of the day, the ultimate ownership of safety on that job site, that falls on you. It is your personal duty to make sure you stay safe, and, just as important, to look out for the safety of the person working on the next pole over. Your vigilance is what keeps the entire crew safe. I want you to treat this manual, these rules, and all your protective gear as exactly what they are. They are professional tools. They exist for one reason, and one reason only: to make sure you can do your job and go home safe.
But like any tool, they only work if they're used with constant awareness and professional vigilance.
So, the real test of all this is taking it from here and putting it into practice out in the field. So think about it right now. Your very next job. What's the one thing you are going to double check? Is it the pole inspection, the grounding sequence? Your personal responsibility is the engine that makes this entire system work. Stay aware, stay vigilant, and stay safe out there.